Yo, what's good, Jets Nation? This is Jets Media. Welcome back to my channel, and in this video, I'll be breaking down Conner McGovern and give you guys my strengths and weaknesses and my whole perspective on newly acquired center, Conner McGovern. Before I get into that, I just want to mention that I created a brand new sports podcast on Apple and Spotify, and it's on a completely different YouTube channel as well. Me and Ali from Loyal New York Jets fans collaborated, and there's a whole new YouTube channel where we made a whole talk show. And actually, in episode 2, I interviewed Jets wide receiver Vincent Smith and his trainer Justin Allen. So if you guys are interested to go check out the podcast, I'll leave that description down below. I'll really appreciate if you guys can go subscribe to the new channel, Loyal Media. With that being said, let's jump right into Conner McGovern. So obviously, this is probably our best signing from Joe Douglas, in my opinion, because offensive line is the biggest weakness on this Jets team going into the offseason. And Joe Douglas needed to solidify that interior position on this O-line. And I think Conner McGovern is a perfect fit for this O-line because we have missed a quality center ever since Nick Mangold left, Ever since Nick Mangold, the prick, left, this offensive line just looked absolutely atrocious, and there was no continuity. There was no chemistry. It was just really bad. And that's why I think a lot of the offense in this past decade has been just so bad. I mean, not decade because Mangold left in 2015, I'm pretty sure. So these past 5 years, it's just been really atrocious for this Jets offensive line. So looking at Joe Douglas going out there and getting a young guy like Conner McGovern, who just came off his rookie deal with the Denver Broncos and is coming off a really strong year in 2019, I'm really excited about it. And I think the biggest trait about Conner McGovern that I love the most, he's versatile. He's not just a center. He can line up at left guard or right guard. So if somebody goes down, he can fill in that need at that guard position, and we could fill in somewhere else at that center position. But I do think Conner McGovern will be the answer at that center spot for the next 2 to 3 years. We signed him for a cheap deal, and if you look at his stats last year, this stat just blows my mind because I cannot imagine a Jet center doing this. Out of like over 1,000 snaps in 2019, Conner McGovern had 0 holding penalties. That's absurd. That is what the Jets need on this offensive line. How many times have we seen a big play get called back because there was a holding penalty or a block in the back or a chip block? Just some stupid penalty that the Jets always mistakenly do just hinders the offense. So it's good to see that we have somebody with discipline on this Jets team, and there's a lot of new names on this offensive line. And Conner McGovern is going to be that core piece in the middle that's going to be that communication guy, getting everybody lined up and be that leader, because I think the center position is probably the most important on the offensive line for any NFL team just because of the chemistry and the communication. I think communication is the biggest thing that goes into offensive linemen. Obviously, left tackle is probably the most important position. They get paid the most because they're protecting the quarterback's blind side, but the center is the rock of the O-line. They're lining guys up. They're snapping the ball to the quarterback, obviously. So I'm really happy that the Jets have a solid guy in Conner McGovern. He's still young. He's 26, 27 years old. So I think his best years are still ahead of him. And I love that he went out and got him from Joe Douglas. So going into his strengths and weaknesses, I couldn't really think of a lot of weaknesses because I feel like he's good at everything he does. He's not elite at anything specific. But his strengths for me that I looked up for him is he's versatile, he has experience, he's durable, and he has no penalties, like I mentioned. So, like I mentioned earlier in the video, he's versatile. He can play all over the offensive line at the left guard, right guard, center position. That's what Joe Douglas preached when he was hired as a New York Jets general manager. He wants versatile guys that can play multiple positions and love the game of football. Conner McGovern fits the Joe Douglas mold, and I think that he is a perfect example of the type of guy that Joe Douglas wants to build for this Jets team and build a culture the right way. His experience, he's been in the league, he's been on a successful offense in the Denver Broncos. I know the Denver Broncos hasn't been good winning-wise these past couple years because they have not had a quarterback, but they've had really good running attacks. Philip Lindsay was an undrafted rookie, and Conner McGovern really opened up a lot of holes for him when he was an undrafted rookie, and he flourished. So he has experience with a successful run game. Maybe not the best pass blocking center that we got, but he's a run blocking guy, and I think he's going to bring experience and leadership to this O-line because there's a lot of young guys that need development. So I think Conner McGovern can provide that leadership role. He's durable. He played all 16 games in 2019. We need guys that can be healthy. That's the biggest weakness for this Jets team. Obviously, it's a big question mark for every single team across the NFL, but the Jets have been ridiculed with injuries all throughout my life, it feels like, especially in 2019. So it's good to see that he was healthy all year. So hopefully that can carry over into 2020. And no penalties. how crazy is that Conner McGovern had 0 penalties in 2019? That's what we need from our center. Going into his weaknesses, I just came up with, it's just a new team. It's with the coronavirus, with these virtual meetings, he's not going to be able to learn the new guys like George Fant, Alex Lewis, Greg Van Roten, Mekhi Becton, all these new guys that are his teammates. He's not going to be able to be on the field in training camp right away and get to know them in person. So he's going to be on Zoom calls with all these virtual meetings. So that is a weakness just in terms of not Conner McGovern individually, just in general. Like, if he wants to be that bona fide leader, he really needs to get these guys and understand their strengths, understand their weaknesses, get to know Sam Darnold well, get to know Le'Veon Bell. He has a lot of catching up to do. So that's why I have that as a weakness, just because where this world is right now, he's not going to be able to have that traditional offseason that all NFL players are used to doing. So that's one weakness I have. Another weakness I can think of is his pass blocking, because run blocking is definitely his strength. So maybe pass blocking is a weakness, but I don't think it's that big of an issue. I think he's going to be able to solidify that interior position and give Sam Darnold the protection that he needs. So yeah, that's his strengths and weaknesses. I'm not going to really go into his stats because offensive line, there's not really that many stats. The big stat that I gave you guys is his no holding penalties. But one stat I will mention is his PFF grade from Pro Football Focus is 71.9, which is 11th best among all the centers. So he's arguably a top 10 center in the league on the Jets. And he's only going to get better. He's still young. It's not like he's 30 years old and washed up. He's 27, and I think offensive linemen hit their best years when they're 28, 29, 30 years old. I think that's when they gain the most experience. That's when they're building their bodies the most. That's when they're mature. So I think Conner McGovern can really make an immediate impact on this Jets offensive line and really bring that leadership continuity role and bringing these guys and galvanizing them together and play as one big group. If this offensive line can click, I'm telling you, it will open things up for Sam Darnold, especially if Le'Veon Bell can get cooking. If there's a run game, then Sam Darnold is just going to do that play action, and the actual people on the defense will bite for it, and Sam Darnold could beat them deep. It's just crazy how much open this offense can be if there's an offensive line that's protecting Sam Darnold and establishing an O-line, establishing a run game, So I can go on and on how important offensive line is, and I think Conner McGovern is the biggest X factor when it comes to this offensive line besides Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton obviously was a first-round pick, and he's protecting that blind side. He's going to be making holes for Le'Veon, but I think Conner McGovern is a guy that's going to provide leadership and really galvanize these guys, and I'm really excited for Conner McGovern. So leave a comment down below what you guys expect from Conner McGovern and your thoughts on this video. That does it for this video, and I'm really excited for Conner McGovern. I'm high on him, as you guys can see. He's probably one of my favorite free agent signings from Joe Douglas, especially with the deal that we got for him. It's not that expensive. It's a cheap deal, so it's a really low risk, high reward from Joe Douglas. So yeah, that does it for this video, and thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Let's go Jets! Peace.